Hey, and welcome back to History Rescue. As promised, on this episode we're going to do the complete reassembly of our Remington Nylon 66. Got all the parts in for it, got the rust cleaned off of it, got it cleaned up, she's ready to go. As always, our videos are intended for you to be able to clean and maintain your firearms. If you have a serious issue, please take it to a competent gunsmith and have them sorted out for you. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, please like, comment, subscribe so we can get more videos out to you. Alright, let's get this thing started. These Nylon 66s are a lot less challenging than what they look like. Let's get started. Alright, let's get this stuff out of the way real quick. Get our magazine in there. I'm going to put the front sight on this barrel real quick and just get it out of the way. Fairly simple. Just 2 screws. Snug those down good and tight. We don't want them coming loose. Alright, and we'll set that out of the way for right now. We'll go ahead and put the bolt together real quick. Put our extractor in real quick. There's our extractor pin. Detent. And there's our extractor. So you'll take the pin, the detent. It's got a fat end and a skinny end. The skinny end goes inside of the spring, the detent spring, and those are going to slide right down inside this hole right here. I'll end up going down the body of the bolt here. You just slide those in from the front. And we'll take our extractor. These usually go in a lot easier than they come out. A lot of times you can just take this extractor and push it all the way in and then push it down and it'll seat. Sometimes you just gotta play with them for a minute. That's good. Then we'll take our firing pin and our firing pin's retaining pin and our firing pin return spring. This return spring is itty bitty. It goes in this little groove right here. And when it goes to the back side of this groove, and when we put this in, this pin has to also go through this groove but in front of that spring. That way when the firing pin goes forward, it pushes against that pin and it'll rebound it back to us. Let's make sure that's in that groove. And we'll drop it right in. Alright, once you get that, sometimes it's a little tedious and you gotta wiggle at it for a minute. Once you get your spring inside the groove on the firing pin, it's just going to sit down in that groove on the bolt, and then your pin is going to go through, and it's going to be in front of that spring. That way when the firing pin gets hit, the spring pushes against that pin and it'll rebound it back. And we've got to make sure that you turn your pin correctly. These pins are staked in the downward position. Once you've got all that in there, make sure that your pin is oriented to where it's facing down, and then you should just be able to give it a few little taps and get it right into place. And check your firing pin, make sure it's got rebound on it, make sure it's springing back. Alright, next we'll put our cartridge guide in. When you put your cartridge guide in, it'll go in like that, or it'll go in where it lays down, and you need it to go in where it lays down, so with it folded back, you'll have the bump facing up in order to get it in properly. Got our roll pin started. Turn my punch, please. There we go. Make sure that gets lined up. It's lined up good right there. And just send it all the way home. Alright, that should move freely when it's done and should fold all the way back. So, got that out of the way. Let's move on to putting our internal parts together. Alright, we'll put the feed ramp and the cartridge stop and cartridge stop spring in. This little feed ramp is going to be your most aggravating part of this whole process. There's lots of videos online and lots of different ways that people say to put this thing in. The easiest way I personally have found to put it in, I'll take my pinky and I'll stick it straight up in the hole to where your feed ramp goes. And then I take a magnet and I pick this little feed ramp up, and if you turn it sideways you can stick it down from the top. Once you get the wide part through the hole, you can take and twist it back around the way it's supposed to go. And essentially what you're doing, you're going to stick it in the hole, twist it around, and then with your pinky down there, you're going to push it up like this, and then it will slide right into place. usually. Let me see if I can get this in here real quick. So we're going to go in sideways until we get past the wide part, and then we're going to rotate. Alright. It will look kind of like that. And you can hold the bottom of that up with your pinky to keep it from falling through. And then you just rotate it into place. Just like that. And then you're going to want to flip that over. And we'll put your cartridge stop in. That way that thing does not fall out. And then your cartridge stop is going to go set in just like this. This little tab is going to go straight down in that hole up underneath the feed ramp. You get your front hole right here. Your pin's going to go through. Get that lined up. Some people say to put this spring in differently. I always put the pin all the way in. Some people say to put it half in and then put the spring in. I put the pin all the way in and then I put the spring in. What you're going to do, you're going to take this spring, it's going to go in just like this. The curved down part is going to go in first, and there's a little nipple back here that's going to stay out. You're going to put it up underneath that pin and just push till you hear a click. And once you hear that click, you've got your spring tension and that's installed and ready to go on that. Next, we'll put our sear in. You got your sear pin and spring and the sear itself. The sear pin is going to be the larger of all your pins that came out. So essentially you're going to take your sear, is going to sit like this, and your sear spring is going to sit like this and go right in this hole right here and lock on that little nub. Now the easiest way to get this is to come straight in from the top, turn your rifle upside down. I like to get the pin started just enough to hold it. Get it in there just enough to hold it. Then you can take your spring and set it down just like this, straight into the hole. Sometimes I'll put my pinky finger up there to catch it just in case it wants to slide. Once it's sitting there, you can hold it with your pinky and just push that pin straight in, and then you've got spring tension on your sear. Next, you can take your disconnector and your pivot. You should still have your pivot spring and your trigger spring still on there. Those can set straight down in from the top. This piece needs to go behind your sear. And then you just got to find your pinholes here. And this will use the little short pins, one end from either side. I usually use a pick or a small punch to hold it. Once you get one side in, you can take that out and then stick the other side. Should go right in. And then all that should move. And I've done what the common mistake is. I got them in the wrong hole. Push that back out. Let me get these out and I'll show you what I did. This happens fairly common. Those pins go in the small hole right here on either side, and when I just put it in just a second ago, they ended up going in the big hole, and that's no good. That won't work. We'll have to stick them back in there and go again. Sometimes you got to wiggle at it just a second to get it to work just right. There we go. It should rotate freely forwards and backwards, but it shouldn't have no up and down movement. Alright, once you get that in, you can flip it over and get you a pick. You got to find your pivot spring. And once you get your pivot spring up, you can just take it with a hook and pull it forward, and it's going to go right around this piece right here. Next, we'll put the safety in, and it's just going to slide straight down and forward into the hole. Get your safety pin, retaining pin. It'll go straight in. And you'll drop your detent ball in this hole. Your detent ball spring will go in. and then your retaining pin. Remember the little the little nipple on the end of it is going to be facing the rear of the rifle. And you just put that on top of that spring, press down, and push it straight forward into the back of the receiver, and not drop it in the hole. And that'll just pop right into place. Alright, you can take once you get your pivot spring on, you can take your sear and push it down and rotate your pivot forward. Rotate that forward and push your sear down, and then let your pivot go, and that'll lock your sear down in place. Next, I put the trigger in. Just set that right on the hole. Get your pin. That'll go right in. Now you need to find your hook and come down here and get your trigger return spring. You need to bring it up and hook it onto the front of your trigger. Get on there. Alright. Once you get that hooked on there, you should have trigger function. Now, I like to put the trigger guard on next, so we can go ahead and get done with everything. It's going to go in just like this, and just rotate straight down. Get your retaining pin for that. It's going to go right in the front side. Push that down. Next, you can get your guide rod and spring. They'll go straight in the back of the receiver there. And your striker will go in. This angled portion is going to go up. Get your, I like using the hook. Pick your spring up, get it in the back. When you are putting this in, it's going to come back and it's going to stop. Man, it's not going to want to go any further. What you need to do is you need to pull this back with your thumb, pull the trigger with your other finger, and push the sear down with your tool until you get it to come all the way back. And a lot of times it can be a little tricky, but you can get it done fairly easy. Take your magazine tube. There's a little notch on either side of it. This little clip is all that holds it in. It's going to go on either side of that notch and hold it in. I'll just slide that in the back. And if you'll follow your feed ramp that you put in, right at the end of that feed ramp, you'll follow the plastic right back to where it drops off. That's the little groove right there that your retaining clip's going to go in. I like to use a magnet. Just to set it in there. And then once I get it set in, I'll pull the magnet off the front. And then I'll use my sometimes you gotta wiggle it, get the grooves to line up just right. Once you get it lined up, that'll fall right into place. You take your little pick, just push it down, make sure it's locked in there real good. I will say, you'll want to make sure you orient it correctly. That way your magazine tube comes out properly, otherwise it'll be flipped around backwards. Next, you can take your recoil spring and guide rod. They're going to slide straight into your tube, and then you can put your bolt in, take the hook, pick up your guide rod that goes right in the back of your bolt. You can slide all that in. Now, temporary, you keep that sliding out, and you can put your charging handle in, or just stick a little screwdriver in. I just stick a screwdriver in, it makes it a little easier. Next, we'll put our our barrel in. You've got your barrel lock and clamp. There's a little nipple right here on the front of this. It's going to ride through this groove, and this plate goes towards the muzzle end of the rifle. It's going to slide right in this little slot right here. We'll slide the barrel in from the muzzle. You have to push that bolt back a little bit with the barrel. Make sure that falls down into place. Start your screw. Get that good and snug down. I'll take our ejector. That's going to slide right in that little slot, just like that. Take and flip your cartridge guide over. And you can take your whole cover assembly. That'll slide right over just like that. Take your two cover screws. snug them down. Then you'll take your charging handle and you'll just sit right in the hole and give it a push till you hear the click. Give it a good function check. And there you have it. There's your Remington Nylon 66 fully reassembled.